Welcome to Crown of Thorns, a Vampire the Dark Ages Chronicle run by me, Matthew Dawkins, sometimes known as the Gentleman Gamer here on YouTube, and starring a fantastic cast of players who you will have already met in the first session, but allow me to reintroduce them to you. We have Ree, we have Bob, we have Zack, and we have Jack, known otherwise as Law by Night. And each one is playing a Cainite in the domain of Thorns, a small town in southern England where currently a Malkavian, possibly responsible for the murder of Thomas Becket, a living saint, is hiding out with their help. The coterie have confronted this Malkavian in the catacombs beneath Vescom, our Nosferatu theatre proprietor's abode, about what he may have learned in slaying the living saint. After all, that's what Layla, played by Ree, is most interested in of all. That's why the Tremere have assigned her to this task of following him around, ensuring no harm comes to him. And it is before we get back to that confrontation that we're going to have a little bit of a flashback. Not far, we're not traveling many, many months or anything like that. It's all but about a week ago. We are going to Winchester, where Layla was first given this task. This is where Layla was introduced to the lowest level of the Chantry, and by introduced I mean for the very first time. See, Layla's always been something of a, she might be unkindly referred to as a wild woman. She's a wise woman. She knows her way around blood magic, as do all Tremere. You don't get embraced into this clan unless you know a little bit about sorcery. But she's always been on the outside. She's certainly never been trusted with a major task. It seems that's about to change, because she has been summoned. When you receive a summons from the Chantry, it's almost impossible to decline, to the lowest level, to meet with a vampire by the name of Kern. Kern is the eldest of the Chantry. You could call him the tip of the pyramid. You've never met him before. You've sampled his vitae. You've never met him. Your sire is stood behind you and gives you a gentle push forward, Layla. Kern doesn't look up from what he's doing. He is extracting blood from a rather pathetically mewling young man stretched out on a rack. He has an interesting device for the doing. It looks like a hollowed out needle with a sack at the end of it, which is slowly filling up with his blood. He stops what he's doing. He licks his thumb and then licks the wound. He then looks up at you. Then he walks over to an old woman in a cage and starts piping the blood between her lips, and she suckles at it quite merrily, giggling and gurgling like a baby. "Can I leave you with that, mother?" He pushes the rest of it through, wipes his hands on his surcoat. "So you are the wild woman."
"So they say, yes."
"You should know it is very uncommon for me to meet with the lowest rung of the ladder."
"Of course, I'm grateful that you have made time to have me in your presence."
"What do you know about this domain of Winchester, wild woman? Given you prefer your domain in the wilderness."
"I do. I am familiar with Winchester at a cursory glance. I know what I have been taught."
"Sure your sire has taught you adequately." Kern is a large man, far too large for a cellar of this size. He is well over 6 feet tall, quite the oddity in this time. He has a beard, his eyes are sunk pretty far back, has a hood over his head despite the fact that you are inside, and he does tower. He almost, in these cramped quarters, seems like a giant Greek cyclops chained up in a cave, except you can't see the chains, and he seems quite comfortable in this squalid little chamber. His shoulders hunch. "Winchester is the domain of Melusine d'Anjou. She calls herself a Toreador, Clan of the Rose. You have probably never met them. They would not deign to look down on someone as small as you. And by her grace, we are gifted this small plot of land to conduct our experiments and go in peace away from the eyes of Prince Mithras of London. Do any of these names, these words, mean anything to you?
Yes, I know of the prince. I know the Chantry, and while I've never met the Clan of Roses, I do know who they are.
Then you are being taught well. Good. Good. Then if you know of the Clan of the Rose, and you know of Mithras, and you know of London and Winchester, you likely also know of the Clan of the Moon, the Malkavians,
How
the
do you?
deranged, yes, the lunatics, the oracles, if you are feeling kind.
I know them.
There is one hiding in this city, hiding from the Toreador, hiding from the Ventru of London, but we know where he is. We have been able to sense where he is. I would like for you to take him into your care. Can you play caretaker to an addled old Malkavian?
I know how to take care of those in need. Might I ask why?
He knows something. He knows many things. He is alleged to have slain Thomas Becket, or be one of the parties responsible for said slaying. Certainly the spirits seem to give him a wide berth as if he is nothing but a bad omen, and because of his ill aura, it would be unwise for him to remain in Winchester. He contaminates the air and everybody who breathes it. It would be best if he were led from this domain before the Toreador take note of him, somewhere safe, somewhere like the wilderness. And given that we are not exactly close friends with the types of Canaanites that dwell in trees and fields and ditches, you make for quite the adequate caretaker.
Of course. Where do you suggest? Is there something specific that you're seeking from him, or something I should be aware of?
Yes. He has done what very few Canaanites can claim to have achieved. He has slain a living saint. He has witnessed a mortal close to heaven being plucked from this earth and taken to God above, if you believe in all of that. He is the closest thing we have to a vampire who has touched something holy and survived to tell about it. We wish to know all there is to know. You are to take this task. We believe all saints possess great power in their blood and their spirits, and this Malkavian, well, he witnessed, caused the death of one. Find out what he knows. Find out if there's any wisdom in that broken mind of his. Squeeze it until it runs dry of knowledge. Then do what you must with it, so long as our house emerges with something we can call a triumph.
Right. Understand. Is there anywhere in particular you want me to take him, or simply just out of the way?
I suggest away from urban centers. Cities like these would not suit him well. You know the wilds? Take him into the wilds. Keep him safe. Interrogate him without him realizing he is being questioned. Based on our findings, he seems no stranger to babbling.
A lot of listening, then. I can do that.
Listening and the taking, the scribing of scrolls. Can you write? Are you lettered?
Yes, a bit.
Well, I'm sure that you will manage. I'll tell you where he is. You are not to share this with another soul. You are to remove him from Winchester before the sun comes up. That is all.
Understood. Where is he?
Great things await you, wild woman. Layla, serve the clan, and the clan shall serve you.
Thank you for your audience, for bestowing me with this duty.
He is now back to ignoring you and draining more blood off of the man on the rack who had passed out but lets out a yelp as another needle finds another organ. Kern growls at him, but doesn't deign to use any of his vitae to quiet the individual. In fact, there's a small smile on his face. You think he rather enjoys it. Your sire puts her hand back on your shoulder. That's your cue to leave.
And without any hesitation, leave, as I am very happy to get out of there. That was not a pleasant sight.
Your sire, Sibylla, once you are up 3 flights of stairs, grins at you. Was that not a pleasant sight?
I'm sure that the right answer is yes.
Good girl. See to your task. Do not disappoint me. If you disappoint me, Kern's ire will fall on my shoulders. I do not wish to be disappointed.
I won't disappoint you, sire.
You are capable of wonder, Layla. Show me. Show the Regent. Let us make the future together. That's something Sibylla of Ambersbury has said to you many times. Let us make the future together. So far, what that has entailed is duty after duty after duty.
Let us make the future together, then.
And so this is where Layla left the Chantry, never comfortable in Winchester, such a throng of a city, even at this late hour. Very busy indeed. But you found your charge, you found Griffith, and you found him with child, so to speak. He was in the company of Warren, a vampire you had no idea would be attached to him, but Griffith de Percy was insistent that Warren accompany him.
Did not happen to mention this one.
Didn't mention my child, a vessel of my sin. No, he comes with me, he stays with me. Do you not, Warren? Warren is my child.
Hey. And I guide him and I guess you now to safety.
No, Warren. She is to be our guide. She is to be our salvation, our shepherd.
He looks like he's just been relegated to the back seat with that. He looks really disappointed.
I think she kind of gives a slightly pitying look towards Warren. I'm sure that your insights will come in handy as well. I am looking forward to making the journey with you both, and what do you know of the woods?
Great deal, actually. I was a gamekeeper in before this. I spent
Filled with sin.
Yes, he stops and he lowers his head. Right.
You should not trust a word he says. He speaks with a forked tongue out both corners of his mouth. He is a vessel of sin. If you have sin, you can purge yourself and pour them into him. He is quite capacious.
I'm afraid I'm not aware how one might do such a thing.
I will show you. And we will catch up with how Warren and Griffith became acquainted later in this session. Now that we know how Layla and Griffith and Warren met up, we will return to the catacombs beneath Vescom's minstrel's mug. There we go. You wish to know what I saw? You wish to sense it? Do you wish to taste it?
With it, madman.
Sire, I must caution you against this.
Caution? What? You caution me? You? The dregs? The
This
runoff?
is a mistake. It's a mistake. Don't.
What? Warren, what are you talking about?
These words shouldn't be spoken. Whatever is to come after it's not good.
Warren, be not afraid. I have seen heaven. I have seen the hand and face of God. God Almighty, reaching down and plucking his servant from this earth before my naked eyes. And while the mortals in my presence could not see it, I could. I felt it purge my soul so much that God told me, take his blood. And so I did. I mopped it with this rag, this humble rag, and he unfurls it. And it is a simple bolt of cloth, but it is stained dark with blood. I soaked up the saint's blood. I drank that which I could not soak and carry with me. And now the saint is in me. and I carry him with me also, because the saint's blood gives me power. It allows me to see. It allows me to hear the angels. Would you like to hold this holy ornament, shepherd? Church lady?
What of the chalice
Devil?
and the other Canaanites that were there?
This is the chalice. This rag is the chalice.
I think Layla will reach out for it. I think when he says that he gets power from the blood, as being schooled in blood sorcery, I think that would kind of perk her ears up a bit, and she would probably accept it.
Warren's going to try and like smack her hand away when she goes to reach. He says, "Do not touch it
Why?
because it's not safe."
Could you elaborate, please?
He kind of goes into almost that same dead stare he gives at times. You've seen it many times in the forest.
No, no, Warren, speak. If there is something that you have to say, we should all hear it.
I see only trouble from this. This isn't why we came here, sire. It's to free you find your penance.
This is my penance, you stupid, stupid boy. I carry this with me as a holy relic, so that it can guide me to salvation. How have you not learned this? I have told you this. I have told you this night after night. Why does it never go into you? Are you imbecilic?
It's not what I see.
What do you see?
I don't know. I don't know, but it's not. It does not end well. It doesn't end well for you. He's looking right at the shepherd here, right at you.
Perhaps we'll need time. Vescom, who has been sitting at the corners of the room, watching with a strange, wicked smile. Perhaps we need some more time to contemplate, to read the runes and the futures and the saints and the blood. But for now, Griffith, I'm not sure if you're aware, but upstairs in the village, all sorts of sin is falling place. Abnormal, and only now that you are here.
But of course it is. Do you not see that sin is rising to the surface so that all around can purge it from their bodies? Their souls? They need to exercise it, push it through their skin, and once it is gone, they will be purified. Wherever I go as a pilgrim, I will find my penance by holding this bolt of cloth, and by holding this bolt of cloth, all of those around me, they too will sample hell, and by sampling hell, they will walk through the fires and find heaven. I will become the living saint. I am the unliving saint. And I will allow you to touch it, if you are prepared. If you are prepared to face your sin and feel it boiling in your heart and pouring out through your eyes.
We needn't waste our time with such.
For now. Griffith, this story is amazing. I'm very excited to see where it goes. However, your story is removing many others. And this is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Bodies are lining the streets and more fall with every moment.
Then what? Then my shepherd, then Layla, isn't it? That's your name?
Yes.
Maybe we should move on. I thought Thorns was the place that the first place we would sanctify, but if we are finding opposition, no, we should be strong. Opposition tests us.
Yes.
But it is for us to overcome it.
It is, yes, I would agree with that. I think that she's going to kind of turn to Warren and just nod and say, if there's something you see, I will give you time to understand the nature of your visions before I move ahead. And she'll kind of, let her hand go from the cloth for now. However, I do think that whatever we were prepared to hear, whatever confession, I would very much like to hear that.
I can tell you something for certain. And I know that this is what the church, he looks at Joan, wishes to hear, that when I filled this chalice, still holding this dirty rag, with his blood, I realized this man, this fragile man, was unafraid of death, of oblivion, even, because he knew that he was going to a world much greater and more bounteous than ours. And I knew that while I had been commanded by God to do this thing, this vile, wicked thing, it was because I was already neck deep in the well of sin, and better for such a crime to fall on the shoulders of a man unrepentant, a vampire, monstrous. But then my eyes open, and it wasn't Thomas Becket's last words, it was the words of God, and I know, I can see, he looks at you, Joan, I can see from your expression you do not believe me. I know that you do not believe that God can speak to someone so flawed, so cracked a piece of earthenware as I. But I heard his voice, and I still hear it. And he tells me that everywhere I go, I must purify the sin to purify myself.
Joan tries very hard not to stoke the fires, as it were, because it's all very infuriating for her. The Lord works in mysterious ways. He chose a carpenter as his avatar, after all. But there's a more pressing matter that I don't think that we have the luxury of time for. Our priest acquaintance from above was an agent for a group of holy hunters who is coming here to purge you of your sins permanently from the earth. And I'm fearful that it will be the damnation of all of us if we don't decide what to do with the current guest at hand. Now.
Do not be fearful. He puts his hand on your shoulder. Do not be afraid, for they will be filled with sin as well, and I will purify them doubly.
If there are hunters, we should not stay here, I think. There's another Canaanite in Thorns, one more. How well acquainted are the two of you with Menina?
I would rather not include more parties into this, especially the French.
It could do well to at least warn her. We are not on the best terms. Met once or twice. Didn't quite like my beauty, it seems to be. But she is still one of us, and if hunters are on their way, could catch her unaware.
That is a valid point I begrudgingly agree upon.
Warren,
Yes.
my child, my son, I am come over in need of, I can feel the fever rising. I will be laying still, clutching this relic. You go, you are my voice, my eyes, my mind. You are my soul out there. You speak for me. I must rest.
He protests once, as he always does. But, sire, you won't be safe if we're not with you.
I will be safe. I am here. I am protected by God.
Perhaps we can lead them away from his trail, if anything.
At this point, Griffith has nothing else to say. He basically lays back down in the catacombs, holding the cloth to his chest like a comfort blanket, and even tucks an end of it in his mouth.
I think that's our cue.
Yes, sire communes with the Lord now. We should leave him in peace.
Lord, indeed.
Yes,
Right.
we have much to speak on outside in one of the other tunnels on the way up. And at this point, Vescom's smile has dwindled into a unenthusiastic frown. His mouth it's hard to really form those kinds of shapes with the maw of teeth, but that's the general impression you get.
Joan is retracting her use of shadow play as they're all making their way out into wherever it is that we're being led to, just doing everything she can not to summon forth more darkly powers, just to break the Malkavian's neck as he sleeps.
You're not finding Griffith to Percy terribly sympathetic then, Joan?
No, certainly not. Patience has run.
Warren, you have, you've of course witnessed your sire take these torpid spells quite frequently since your embrace. You don't know you don't know enough about Canaanites to know that this is terribly unusual, beyond the fact that your time with Layla in the week since, you've not seen her have to do this once, other than during the day when it's natural. But yes, Griffith is commonly afflicted with this need to rest. The Cainite equivalent of ME, that isn't. He is just suddenly afflicted with an exhaustion that cannot be diagnosed by the Tremere.
I think as they go up, Layla would like to pull Warren aside for just a second, and she'll say to him, a person cannot be sin, Warren.
I am not a person.
You,
I am sin.
if you were not a person, you would not be speaking to me right now, and I understand that Josiah has quite many beliefs, some of which may come from a place of wisdom, others
Quite so.
perhaps less so.
What do you mean? Do you doubt him?
Well, it's less that I doubt him and more that you doubt him. And I don't think you should be afraid to. He offered me that rug and you warned me against it. You saw something that he didn't. Which means you have wisdom he doesn't.
He's sort of like, that sends him into this almost broken state. These two ideas cannot possibly
Right.
exist.
Mm.
But no way. It's just that sometimes the Lord blesses me with visions, and I see things. I see the path forward, and one he doesn't always choose to take. One I've failed to take at times.
Right. You are a person, and a person is capable of mistakes and of successes, and you are capable of both, as is your sire.
I was a person, and it was indeed a mistake that led me to him, or him to me. It was my
Warren,
sin.
at that you hear in the distance a child's plaintive crying.
His head twists.
What is it?
Child. I hear a child. He's crying. It's really late at night, too, just to put that in context of strain.
Oh, yeah. So you're looking at about 3 a.m. now, or at least as far as would be concerned in the Middle Ages. Only a few hours until sunup.
Layla looks around like in confusion. A child.
Yes, indeed, we should hurry. We should hurry.
Whatever you say.
Very well. And so the two of you head deeper into these. Are you heading back up into the Minstrel's Mug proper, or are you following Vescom into these further tunnels he's just unveiled for you? Do you want to head deeper into the Nosferatu's catacombs? You know, it's a perfectly reasonable answer to say no way.
I definitely don't want to, but if that is the route that everyone seems to be choosing, then far be it for me to break from the group.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, I have a question then, Zack. If the initial cellar where Griffith de Percy is currently laying languid was filled with your collected debris, mementos, relics, your obsessions, what do the deeper catacombs contain?
I think the deeper catacombs involve two major things. One, it seems like a lot of small sleeping spaces, as if it could be used for housing more resting Cainites or other things. It's kind of nondescript in that way, but it's far enough away from the sun. And the other is what seems to be bones of various sorts, from animals to more human-looking bones, just collections organized into different piles depending on the bone. However, this path that Vescom, if they follow, would be going back up. It'd be going down and then back up after taking another Y in the road. He wants to get above ground and hopefully in more of the direction of the Toreador that we may want to visit. But before getting to the surface, he does want to turn around and look towards the Malkavian and the Tremere. And he'll hold up a crooked and bent finger, the long claw at the end. So can we, after all of this, agree that Griffith has brought death and destruction, along with supposed redemption and saintly beings and bloody rags. Can we agree that he has caused quite the harm here?
I would argue that it would seem quite a coincidence otherwise, and yet we don't have any true evidence that he is the cause of it.
It's not the cause. Why would he be the cause of any of this?
Seeing as he just admitted to springing forth sin and what have you in this
Right.
little...
Right, he also admitted to being a saint and to hearing messages from God telling him to kill the... You get my point, I think.
Yes, he is mad.
So while it's certainly a strange coincidence, perhaps more than that his arrival seems to usher in such a unpleasant business, I do think we should take some of that with a grain of salt. There could be other things at play.
Such as?
Well, the death of a saint in the first place, hunters on their way here. Who knows, I am not a seer, I don't claim to know everything. I can only know what I see.
Yes, it is most peculiar that on the arrival of a male Cavian who has mistaken a chalice for a rag has resulted in great mourning of orgies within a fairly respectable theatre, and the arrival of inquisitors.
It rains quite often here, but not so much all of the events of this night. It's a bit different, I think. The point I'm trying to get across is, even if everything goes well from here on out in this little story playing, so many other stories have been closed, their books forever marred. And someone needs to fix that, right? Someone who has brought this death and destruction. While you may not have known this could have happened, it has happened. Would that not be fair? Plus, we don't even know if we'll be able to stay. The Inquisitors will rip apart every piece of this town, eventually, if we don't do something. Specifically, if those who brought this destruction don't do something.
Right.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm just going to intervene briefly. It's an interesting proposition. It's an interesting quandary. This vampire is in your charge, Layla, and de facto yours as well, Warren, given that you are his child. And he is clearly, well, if it needn't be said, not of sound mind. How much of what is going on with the mortals above is his doing? And whether it is a willing action or not, whether it is tied to his sin, as he has been calling it, and his quest of purification is another issue. But it is definitely without doubt that there is something seriously wrong in Thorns. That if these Inquisitors are real, and certainly Joan had no reason to doubt the priest that she killed and drained and buried in sewage, that there would be hunters en route to Thorns as well. Now, whether that means that you consider the task of keeping him active, existent, extant, is more important than handing him over, for example, destroying him, for example, fleeing him, leaving him behind you, for example, is something you, as a coterie, as you have now formed, are going to have to decide on, something you may not even agree on. You could be very much upsetting the Tremere if you back out of this before you know the full depth of his knowledge. But here's another question, Layla. Do you now know everything he knows? Have you squeezed him dry of everything he has?
Yeah, that's what's on her mind.
I wanted to note as well, one of the things I'm trying to portray with Warren is that he's fairly early on in the embrace and thus still has very much the bond of loyalty to his sire. Not to mention the brainwashing, but that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Joan, I feel, is incredibly conflicted with the whole thing because as a base reaction, she would just like to kill him off. That is how she has dealt with all of her problems in life. It was the most clear and cutthroat way of dealing things, less messy, depending on the mood that she's in, etc., etc., etc. But it becomes a bit more complicated when there's a child at play and she's now getting a bit concerned about this heretic sympathizer, as it were, in the form of Layla. And there's also like the Dark Ages attitude of perhaps not as religious as herself as others may be, that weird rambling man comes in, weird things happen, the two have to be connected somehow, more so than she could care to admit. And so she's just playing through with the best of her mind, like which of her contacts would be the best of like escorting, dumping, running away, etc. But she's also at the same time a bit concerned about the priest of Thorns, who the visiting priest was going to visit, because it made her concerned that there's a connection between the two, that it just can't be coincidental. So many thoughts all at once.
Well, the Reverend of Thorns is Father Isaac. He is the priest at St. Anselm's, almost certainly asleep at this hour. Yeah, you could certainly pay him a visit or set fire to his vestry if you felt it was necessary. I mean, why not join in on the sin? It seems to be what Griffith expects. But there's the question, coterie. You don't have to take action against Griffith now, if at all. Are you preferring to go and speak with your friendly local toreador first? It's entirely up to you. You are approaching the dawn.
I believe Vescom would like to, if only to warn her. His boils are bubbling because he's coming onto the realization that a lot, even with all the hype of this new amazing story in town, he's realizing that what he's built here, the minstrel's mug, all the people in it, it's all being dismantled. He's not even sure who's left upstairs on the surface. And it's starting to worry him that people that he's corralled together to be some kind of strange family, or at least as much as the twisted Vescom can consider as family, has been possibly ripped to shreds, and now he's left with the pieces. But he'll lead the rest to the surface. It'll pop up out of somewhere nondescript and quite hidden, possibly having to move a few heavy pieces of stone or wood.
Maybe in the ruins of the Roman villa. The old Temple of Mercury that was built here centuries ago, a millennium ago.
Perfect. And Vescom will gesture towards the others as he pops out first, and we'll give a helping hand if anyone needs help out of the hole. It's quite the goopy and slippery clawed hand, but it's helpful.
Joan would begrudgingly take the hand, very visible in not liking any of it.
Well, Joan, somehow Vescom doesn't notice this, perhaps because he's concentrating on helping the others, but you are very keen to make a distance, a yard at least, between you and the Nosferatu. It isn't just his appearance. He has a rather rank odor and putrescence that you don't want staining your gown. Your gown has already been through enough tonight. But what you notice as you step aside and get clear of the ruined walls is the glow of light. It's too early for the dawn. The dawn is not due yet. It cannot be the sunrise, and it isn't. Several of the houses about Thorns are aflame. While you were deep in the subterranean conversing with this prophet, it seems someone has been about some arson in Thorns. You're not in immediate danger. The Roman ruins aren't aflame. But Thorns is certainly paying a price for what is taking place here tonight.
I think Joan, assuming from that she would be the first one out of the group to notice this, will barely utter the phrase, "My God."
I'd like you to make a road roll, Joan. This is our equivalent of a luck roll in this Vampire the Dark Ages game.
That's worrying. What's the numbers I'm looking for?
We're going to be looking for 6s.
Okay, and does this account for the increased difficulty of the previous road roll that I did, where it was adding the difficulty?
Yes. So let's add that, shall we? Let's go for 7s. So never say I'm not a generous storyteller.
I wish my dice could say the same, because I got no successes and a 1.
God is right. Because you can see it's only a narrow building. It's small, it's narrow, it's inconspicuous. It does not stand up in the same iconic way as your legend, your reputation among certain underground elements in the southwest of England. But it's your haven, or it was your haven. It is currently ablaze. You built this place. When you were mortal, you built this place. You didn't have there wasn't a man to do it. You taught yourself the masonry. You put stones in, not just mud and straw and hemp and twine. You built this place. And it isn't a castle. It's not a tower. It's not a church. But it was yours from the time you were alive, and now it's an inferno. The rest of the coterie will have emerged from the hole while you are standing there, mouth probably slightly agape, eyes wide, maybe even tears of blood pooling. Maybe it's been a while since you felt a pang of conscience. Let's roll conscience, Joan.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that was going to be some sort of virtue roll, that or self-control. I have the colossal dice pool of 1.
Yes.
That is another 1.
Rather than this being a case of you... Well, I'll let you choose here, Jack. This is a good experiment. This colossal failure could result in your humanity dropping again because you've just lost what in V5 terms would be a touchstone, basically. Your home, this is something that connected you to your humanity, and it's just been ripped from you. Or this could make you feel more mortal than ever before, and the purifying effects of what is taking place here could make you break down and weep tears of blood because you are feeling, well, not divine, that's for sure, but fragile and flesh and bone, mortal. How would you like this to manifest for your character? Do you want her to harden or soften?
That is an interesting question, indeed.
Because it's going to take a chunk out of you either way on this.
Yeah. I think more in line of what you were saying, like building up the legacy and like stripping a part of her away would make more narrative sense here. On top of all the other fears and the angers and frustrations that have been happening throughout the course of the night. Everything that she's, gone through for a mortal year, she's older than other vampires as well, and aware of that. Yeah, so I think this was just remove it in the sense of like stripping away a bit of her legacy and like detaching herself that bit more from her humanity.
Let's lose another dot then. 2 dots in one night.
That's now down to 3, and there's I believe a +1 modifier because of the aura that she would project, making it a bit more difficult for mortals to see her as human, because I'm just that bit more intimidating.
Yep, your fists are clenched at your sides, your nails are digging into your palms, and despite your robust undead flesh, you are drawing blood up from them. Now, I think it's fairly apparent, Layla, Warren, Vescom, now that you have all reached the surface and you can see the flickering glow of fire all about Thorns, and you can see how Joan is reacting, that she is a tinderbot right now. She could explode.
Layla, seeing flames immediately on guard makes her nervous. Do we want to try to stay here for the night? I can cast shield us from the sun if we decide to stay here.
Can you shield us from the flame?
That is not all you may need shielding from. As Vescom creeps forward, hiding behind the remnants of a wall and peering to Joan. Much restitution in time, Joan. But we can't have it now. Not right now.
Why not?
We don't know how much time before the Inquisitors arrive.
All the more reason to go back there and gut him like a fat pig.
You mustn't. This isn't him. He's been down there, not up here. Whatever this is, it's evil.
There are many reasons that fires can be set in thorns. We should seek them out and deliver retribution as appropriate.
Does Layla believe her own words, or is she just trying to pull attention away from Griffith to Percy?
A little bit of both. She definitely feels as though, yeah, this would be a pretty big coincidence. However, this is still, for now, her charge. She's not sure. She's debating whether or not she's got enough information to, like, justify letting him die. But I think right now she's also a bit lost in the past. The flames in Thorns are disturbing.
It's not the first time she's seen burning pyres erected in Thorns in the local area.
No. So there's some part of her that also feels like it's some sort of strange echo of time she'd rather forget.
Funny that.
Mm-hmm.
Warren, while these flames burn, it takes you back a ways, 2, maybe 3 weeks. It's difficult to keep track of time, given you've spent most of it on the road, most of it traveling hither and yon from domain to domain in the company of this madman. Except to you, he isn't a madman. To you, he's your sire. Now, it is entirely up to you, Bob. We never established if you are bloodbound to him. I don't think you are. It seems that you're more likely just dedicated to him. But you tell me, do you see yourself as 3 steps disciple, or someone who just believes the litany that pours from his lips?
It's maybe a bit of both. I don't think he's fully bound, but I think he has, he's fairly fresh. So I'm thinking that even just the act of his embrace, the blood he would have had, or the vitae he would have had to consume then, is enough to kind of carry over to that slight bond. In addition to that, it's not so much that he believes Griffith and everything he says. It's that the signs, he has now interpreted it as his task to lead Griffith to whatever outcome he is to find.
Very good. Well, it's quite funny maybe the wrong word. It's the first time you've thought of this, and it's the first time you've thought of this since before your embrace, as you're staring into the roaring infernos that are popping up all around Thorns right now. It reminds you of when you were looking into the hearth, the burning hearth in, well, let's call it what it was, the brothel, where you were satisfying your carnal urges on the night of your embrace with your favourite woman, Lockjaw Mabel, so named for one of her singular talents. And whenever you would see Mabel, your eyes would be drawn to the flames, the warmth of the room perhaps, just the distraction, to distract yourself from the sin that you were involving yourself in. This had always been your weakness, your lusts for flesh, and Mabel had always been very accommodating with you and barely charged a groat. Sometimes she even threw in a favour for free, and it would always energize you. Eventually, come the morning, you'd feel the guilt, the shame, the wickedness, but during the night, you would feel elated and more alive than ever. So she looks up at you, having finished her business. Or must you go so soon, Warren? She smiles, a gap-toothed smile. You could stay here for a bit longer. Stay by the fire, stay warm. You don't need to get home. Your family's not going to miss you.
I don't know what it is. Sorry, I should clarify. This is the night where things take place?
This was the night where you were embraced, but you haven't been embraced yet.
Yeah. I think maybe the guilt hits him harder tonight, where, as you mentioned, usually it's the next day. I think tonight he wants to clear himself from it. He looks to the fire and then he looks to her. The fire reminds him of the damnation that will follow if he continues to give way to the flesh. He stands up and he looks at her and he says, I have to go.
She clutches at your vest. No, you don't. You don't have to go. You've only rolled around once. Come on, you've got more in you than that. She starts grabbing for you. Tries to manipulate you back into the bed, as it were.
He's not a particularly violent man, but I think that this act of trying to pull him back, it's a spiritual warfare kind of moment, and he kind of takes his arms underneath and just tries to almost pull free, probably pushes her back onto the bed if he does break free.
She doesn't fight, basically breaking the hold, as it were. She falls back. She tuts. She rolls her eyes. Fine. But next time you come here, don't do that thing you do where you ask me about all the other men I saw on the same night as you. I've got to make a living. If you're not going to keep me company tonight, someone will.
I won't be back, he says.
She actually laughs at you. She climbs back up onto her knees. So what you saying you won't be back?
There's a part of that rings true. A part of that where he has probably had this desire to end things multiple times, and it's always fallen short. But this is the farthest he's gone. He's going to follow through with that. He looks at her, and whatever he owes, he put down on the table, and then he's going to quickly turn and walk off.
Her mocking laughter follows you as you are quickly walking away from this house of ill repute. Hands clutched close. It's a winter night. It's damn cold. No wonder the fire was so inviting. Any place warm on a night like this, eh? You start your trudge back home. Rather embarrassingly, it's not even that far. The hovel that you call home with your family is all of about 100 yards down a trail from where Lockjaw Mabel plies her trade. It's barely a distance. In daylight hours, you could see your house. But the cold winter chill is biting tonight, and a wind is whistling with it. So much so that you don't hear the horse approach you until it is spluttering in your ear. Whoa there, whoa, sorry, my friend, nearly ran you down, didn't see you there on the road.
Very good. That was my fault. I wasn't paying attention.
No, not your fault at all. Griffith to Percy, I am a knight, you may call me sir.
Pardon, good sir, I'm just returning home.
That place you just emerged from.
He lowers his head.
Stop walking while I address you.
Of course, sir.
Stop and you turn your face up to me. I will not be having you look at the ground. I will not be having you look at the ground like I am some mother chastising you.
Aye.
You will look up at me and give me the respect.
Of course, sir.
I dare say when you look up at me right now, is that the way the women out in there look up at you?
No.
No? You do not wish
No,
to
sir.
serve me? You do not wish to do as I say? As they do for you?
I'm in service too.
But not tonight, eh? Not tonight. You are of free time. You do as you wish. You do as you please with your humble coin and humble flesh and humble
Indeed.
spirit.
You have it right.
Do you visit that place often? Do you sin often?
No, he's full of shit.
Griffith slides out of his saddle, crunching onto the ground, walks around the front of his horse, strokes its nose. The horse is clearly uncomfortable at his touch, takes several steps back. Tell me, when was the last time you felt virtue? I mean, since you were a child. I mean, even children could be sinners. Did you know? Children can be sinners too. They all possess the capacity for sin. You understand. You understand, don't you?
I do.
Yes, because you are a sinful child.
I don't understand. Are you mocking me?
Mocking?
Are you here?
No. I am not mocking you. I am not. He cuffs your ear slightly and then sort of scritches your hair like you are a horse, like you're a dog, like he's ruffling your mane a little. No, I'm not mocking you. I'm admiring you. I've been looking for a child like you. I've rode a long way, for not on this horse, on many horses. I have rode a long way to come here and felt sure that I would not have to steal a child, that one would arrive before me. God told me that a child would appear before me, a perfect child, perfect for my purpose, perfect to be my vessel, the vessel for my discharge. Will you be my vessel?
He looks at you just completely fearful. He looks up at Griffith. No, sir. I apologize. I must return to my family. I hope you find what you're looking for. And he kind of pauses, realizing no, he doesn't. And then he starts to back away.
No, if you go back that way, you will return back to the flesh pots. You wish to go that way, I believe. That means passing me. Are you going to just step past me at night? Are you going to walk past me? Or are you going to be deferential? Are you going to remember your place, child?
He looks back and he knows the position of station. He hesitates. He knows it's death if he does it.
You walk back there to indulge yourself, or you step forward and accept purification, virtue, holy light. I can give you that. I can give it to you. I'm offering it to you. And I am not mad. I am enlightened. Step toward me. I will not command it, but I will ask. Step toward me. And this was the first lie Griffith to Percy told you. Warren, even though for the longest time in your head you felt as if you did willingly step towards him, he did command you. He did burrow his mind into yours. He did compel you into his hands and into his mouth. And he did compel you to not resist as he buried his fangs into your neck. And for the longest time, you've been convinced that it was all your will. But now, as you're staring into this fire, reminding yourself of that night, you know that he burrowed his way in there. He made you become this way. So we return to the present.
My sire, no, whatever he is, if you need to execute him, I will not stand in your way.
Well, that was sudden.
He kind of straightened up a little bit. Better posture. Heads up a bit.
Wonderful. Wonderful. The fledgling taking a hold of his destiny. Perfect. Perfect. And Vescom starts jotting down. He pulled out a scroll of paper out of somewhere and starts jotting down.
Where did you go just there?
Go
I know, and look into the past when I see one.
to hell and back.
Poetic. Afraid it doesn't give me very much insight.
Yes, to hell and back.
It is, in its own way, not ironic, but certainly there's a pleasant parallel at play here. Vescom is noting all of this down for the sake of entertainment, and Layla, while not physically writing everything down that she encounters, mentally noting everything for almost scientific purpose. And that does present the dichotomy of the Tremere, in a way. That at this time, they are almost the most suspicious clan, not because of everything they've done in terms of blood sacrifice and theft, but because they are the most rational. They are the scientists. They are the experimenters. They are the future. And they're not trusted because of that, because the rest of the clans are clans of faith and belief, and they have history. And come the modern era, the Tremere are not trusted because they are the clans of magic and sorcery and experimentation, and all of the rest of the clans are grounded in politics and religion and bureaucracy. And so, Layla, as you are making this mental note and indeed saying, well, not terribly enlightening, admittedly, what Warren had to say, you are aware that the rest of this coterie, they know what you are. They know what a usurper is. They know what the Tremere are. And despite that, at no point has one of them judged you for it, at least not openly. That's That's a first.
Interesting. Yes.
Now, time is ticking by, and Joan, you're perhaps more aware of it than anyone else here. Warren is lost in his daydreams, or nightmares, and Layla is deep in thought of her own. Vescom seems to be writing a damned play. Joan, you are struggling with that urge to frenzy. I'm not going to make you roll for it because narratively it wouldn't be the right time, but you certainly feel that desire to break something or someone. The closest you can get to, you could go right back down into that hole, march up to Griffith, to Percy, and rip his guts out, as you quite rightly said. The entire town of Thorns is here. There are many mortals you could sate your anger on, but they don't deserve it. They're not the focus of your fury. And then there is Malina, the Toreador of the domain, with whom it is entirely up to you what your relationship with her is. She is a French exile, an artisan, as many Toreador are, probably disconnected from your unlife beyond maybe the occasional purchase of stolen relics and jewels and such. You tell us, Joan. What are you thinking? Where do you want to go? We can't hang around in this Roman villa for much longer.
Indeed, we cannot. I think, honestly, that when Warren came out of his trip to hell and back, without a postcard, might I add, he's saying that if you wish to execute my sire, whatever the exact wording was, I think, like a little bloodhound, like she's gone back in there to try and find him and
the
deal
leash
with
has
him.
been taken off. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. And how emotionally and mentally and perhaps supernaturally unstable she is at the moment, that whilst you say not wanting the frenzy, I do kind of agree that sort of she's on that fine line of like going one way or the other, and it's like not quite feeding into the frenzy. I forget the exact terminology for it, but like it's just single-minded acting her primal urges of like having some of her reputation as a vampire restored, that bit of the La Sombra to be the one on top, that this person, this madman's come in and ruin, not just for her, but this whole town by the looks of things. So I think that she's just a very single-minded like that, which is very unlike Joan, ironically, not very much in control, but the two ideologies sort of like clash. So yeah, in short, she'd return.
And yes, giving into the beast would not be in keeping with your clan at all. Better if you're to visit sadism or fury on someone that you can feel it. You want to be in total control when you subjugate and annihilate this Malkavian, not give that over to your beast. So absolutely, you descend. All right, going back to the rest of the coterie, there is no secret about what Joan's about to do. She doesn't announce it, but you can see on her face, well, from the speed of her motion, what she's going to do. So I'm going to go do a quick round of the characters here, just to ask what each of them intend to do. Starting with
He's gonna follow if he sees that Jonah's going. I think he's following. He needs to see this happen.
Very well, Layla.
Yeah, going to run after, kind of like she hasn't decided herself yet whether she's going to stop Joan, but like either way, it's like something's happening. I'm either going to stop it or I'm going to be there for it.
In that case, Vescom.
Vescom will definitely follow along a bit giddily, a bit. He kind of has a little skip in his step. It is his home that this may be happening in, so that's one reason. But the primary reason for him is to see whose end it will be, because every story has to have an end.
In that case, I'm afraid I am going to have to spring something on this coterie. As you've descended into the catacombs once more, you've made your way through the winding tunnels. It's easy to get lost in a labyrinth like this, and yet somehow, Joan, you've already picked up the scent of Griffith to Percy. You're not going to be able to remove the smell of that Malkavian. No, it's not the Malkavian. It's that rag, that chalice, so-called, doused in blood. Somehow it's become thick in your nostrils. You have no need to breathe, and yet you've already made the bloodhound comparison. You know that scent now. You are pulled toward it. And It is back among all this detritus, what Vescom considers a collection, and anyone else would consider, well, in a modern era, landfill, that you find Griffith de Percy standing, hand outstretched, bolt of cloth trailing from his fingers, smiling at you. My delivery is at hand. My delivery is at hand. My deliverance. My deliverance. My deliverance is at hand. The saint burns in shadow. Church. His heart is a chalice. Drink, drink, and be purified, as I have been. Joan, this is why I am afraid to say this to you. Because you're ready to launch yourself and tear this lunatic into more than two pieces. But as he drops the bloody rag, he does something you could not have anticipated. He rapidly withers. His skin tightens around his bones. The rest of you arrive just as this is taking place. His eyes fall back into his skull. His fangs bare themselves. They have no other choice because his lips pull back so far. His skin crumbles and decays. Joan, if your anger is so complete and is so much overpowering your astonishment, you can still rip him to pieces as he is shriveling up. Or do you think you would be stood appalled?
I think she would just be angry that whatever sorcery, witchcraft, whatever the heck's going on here would just cause her to lash out in the only way I think a furious Lasombra would do, and that is by employing Arms of Araman and just swiping at him.
Very good. Very good. I think that is absolutely appropriate. And the rest of your coterie scatters. They will be ducking back, diving into corners. Not everyone will have witnessed the tendrils of shadow before now. You don't need to make a roll for this, Jack. I think it's a wonderful narrative idea, as out of every single corner, alcove, crack in the earth in these catacombs, another snake of blackness reaches out, snatches at what remains of Griffith de Percy, and with it, he disintegrates into chunks of greasy ash and soot with thick ectoplasmic blood just jellified, streaking across the ground and up the walls. By the time Araman's arms retract and the little candlelight that there is down here returns to illuminate what you can see before you, there is nothing left of him but for the clothes he was wearing, the sword that was at his side that he never used. Certainly not with you, anyway. And this bloody rag lays out on the earth. The four of you are stood in mixtures of bewilderment, astonishment, horror, confusion, seething rage. Griffith de Percy is no more. If he exists in any fashion now, it isn't one that you can perceive. You just witnessed him do something the undead are not supposed to do. Decompose before your very eyes. It wasn't even a decomposition. There was nothing natural about that death. It was a rapid withering followed by destruction.
Not know anything or have seen anything like that ever, correct?
Oh, let's see. Let's make an occult and intelligence roll. Is this our first attribute and skill roll of the session? I think it is.
Is intelligence and occult, and that's actually ones that I'm very good at. So let's see. Okay.
Each success is going to give you a different piece of information here.
Dice roller being. Sorry.
While you are checking those, Warren, you tell us how you're feeling. You have suddenly been emancipated. Your sire is no more.
I think it's a... Go ahead.
I was about to say, is this a relief?
I think it's a mixture. Like, there's definitely a relief. I mean, the bond clears, which would clear any other fogginess, but there's still that Stockholm Syndrome response. And I think he drops to all four, onto his knees and leans forward and just begins to weep. And you can see the blood tears. It's sort of a cry of both kind of freedom, emancipation, and sorrow for watching him die.
Okay, Ree, how did you roll?
2 successes, both of them were 10s, so I believe that counts as 4 successes.
It does indeed, yes. Okay, well, there's several things this could be. You have, of course, heard of what occurs with ghouls if they go without feeding. They will decompose rapidly if they are of venerable age. Essentially, their biology catches up with them, and they ultimately and usually pretty rapidly die, but that wasn't quite this. Given the number of successes you've achieved, you've also heard of certain Cappadocian arts known as mortis, the ability to rapidly decompose dead flesh. It's would take some, well, let's call it masterful necromancy to manage something like this, let alone at a distance. But it is possible. It's possible that this artifact you're looking at, if you want to call it that, this bloody rag, is infused with dark energy, black magic, necromancy, to put it more plainly. Perhaps almost in a transitory way, a power has been unleashed on Griffith to Percy, though whether it was by someone's will or whether it was simply his time, that's more difficult to determine. Now, you did get another 2 successes, so I'm going to give you a little bit more. There was at no point did Griffith seem afraid or in pain. He appeared to welcome this. This seemed to be maybe even his will, if it wasn't God's, and you're still very much on the fence about that possibility. And the final thing, you can sense the power in this bolt of cloth now more than ever. You can sense that this terrible state that Thorns is in above your head right now, it probably had far less to do with the Malkavian and far more to do with the saint's blood that has soaked into this rag, that in theory should be a simple enough thing to destroy, a simple enough thing to burn. But if it contains this much power, how much would your masters reward you, would thank you, respect you for delivering it to them? So there you go, there's a big old whammy of answers.
Yep. Oh, okay. She's going to kind of drop to examine the cloth. Not going to touch it, but we'll kind of inspect it.
As you drop, you actually feel a sensation of tingling, a pulse, in fact, in your palm. That's something you've not felt for quite some time. A pulse of life, as if it wants you to reach out to it. You've touched it before, remember? You have a connection to it. It's almost symbiotic, not that you would know the meaning of the word in these Middle Ages, a feeling that bloody bolt of cloth is a part of you, that it wants to be part of you. Can I ask you to make a willpower roll, please, Layla?
Yes, you can.
Now, I will never, ever in any game compel a character or player to do something. So if you fail here, you'll have a few choices.
And so what's the, just a 6 standard difficulty?
No, we're looking at 7s.
Okay, 2 successes.
2 successes. In that case, you can hold back if you want to. You still feel it. You can't nullify it with only 2 successes, but you can hold back.
Yeah, her hand kind of hovers over it, almost like she's going to, but she kind of takes a deep breath and refrains. She'll look around for something of the detritus, like whatever is around, if there's some kind of stick or like something to like prod it with without touching it, to kind of put a little bit of distance, but try to see if she can scoop it into some kind of container.
What do you think, Vescom? Do you have a pole arm and a container down here?
Almost certainly. You could probably find all sorts that would meet the needs of a makeshift container and pokey stick. Vescom watches. He was baffled at what happened to Griffith, but one of his 3 worm-like tongues wipes away the gunk from his yellowish green only eye as he watches. He'll even point a finger at something that looks to be fairly container-looking shape that may work.
Warren, make a perception and awareness, please. Not alertness, but awareness. It's not often that particular skill gets called upon, but here we are.
Indeed. I don't think it matters, but I do have 3 dots in aspects.
You know what? That does matter. I'm not going to compel you to roll here. You can if you want. It might yield something more. It's your choice. It could be a gamble if you want to see more than Auspex is going to reveal.
Bob's willing to gamble.
Good for you.
Yeah. Not in real life, but in this game, we're down.
Oh, I thought you were a vessel of sin, Bob.
Right? I was just about to say.
But you
The
draw
themes
the
of this
line at
game
betting
are-
on the horses.
Participating in theatre
6.
production orgies, but
Yeah. Difficulty 6.
2 successes.
2 successes. You've already seen Layla handle this cloth once. Admittedly, it never actually left Griffith's hands, but you know from that and sensing with your vampiric senses that go well beyond the mortal realm that her prodding it with a stick and trying to lift it into this mellifluous box isn't going to shield her. This thing it has absolutely no care about whether this is flesh on cloth. She is manipulating it. It's up to you whether you want to intervene.
I think he'll once again sort of put a hand on Layla's hand just as she's going to. Wait, I won't stop you. Just know that there's no difference between this and if you picked it up yourself. Is your will to acquire it.
She'll stop. Well, do you think this did it to him? There's power. There's great power coming from this thing, and whatever we want to do with it, we should do something with it.
Whatever it is, I do believe that the Archbishop was indeed a living saint. And this here holds some of its power. He did not look a victim when he died. He looked prepared for it, much as the Archbishop did.
in response to that, Joan will kick some of the ashes.
Some of the gobbets of fatty flesh, the parts that didn't just immediately disintegrate, stick to your boot. But doesn't feel too bad. You've just spread him further, desecrated his remains. It's about as much as he deserved.
What do you think of this, Joan? This bloody cloth power object.
Calmer, but still on a knife's edge, I guess. Not totally satisfied with what has just transpired, literally. I'm a bit concerned that the Archbishop has drawn such hatred and evil in such a short space of time. Perhaps it's the acts of his murder that has tainted his blood or something more sinister. But I'm also concerned what it may do to you now that you have established contact with it. And she sort of unintentionally, but more subconsciously, sort of like leaning back, even though I imagine them to be a good distance apart from each other.
I'm sure that the lovely Layla has casted all kinds of charms and protections and wardings as her kind usually does, right? Before touching dubious objects of questionable power. Invescom kind of looks over and nodding, and then the nods kind of slow, perhaps, as she sees her face.
She's like got she kind of looks to all of her pouches and things that she has on her, which contain a variety of charms and things that she's made, some of which are probably far more for show than anything else, or she has a strange mix of actual magic and superstition, like folk tradition woven into everything she does. And she doesn't always know the difference. So, but she looks at her things that she's adorned with, and she's like, I always protect myself, of course.
Perfect. So we needn't worry. Perhaps the chaos on the surface is over. Perhaps normality reigns above.
I'm not too sure about that. I think that whatever's going on up there has more to do with this than it does with Griffith.
Yes.
I can sense it.
So, well, if it's still going on, we must stop it, or else there'll be nothing left of Thorns. How do we propose the next step? I mean, we still have Malina, who needs warned, or hopefully she is still around. Warren, do you have any visions? Yes, I am not sure how you really do it, but do you think really hard? Like you put your hands on your temple and you think, sweating with the thinking.
I don't command signs to come to me. They have their own control. Or gods, perhaps.
I think with this, Layla will set to work, kind of heeding Warren's words and, trying to limit contact with both herself and the others with this item. She's going to kind of draw like a circle in the dirt, I guess, whatever is
The
made up
dirt
of
and the
it.
ash and the
Yeah.
blood.
Draw a bit of a circle in it. And she's going to start, I have a ritual. I have the ward ritual.
Okay. Well, while you were working on that, and by all means you can roll for it, is anyone leaving these catacombs? I just want to check, and it isn't obligatory. None of you need to. If you'd rather remain down here, you're about an hour away from dawn at this point. Is anyone going back up to the surface? I'm probably pointing this at Vescom, if anybody, given that his tavern theatre is directly overhead. But does anyone want to come up for air, so to speak?
Joan will find the darkest corner in the room and just leave herself to her thoughts, and she tries to contemplate what she does with the rest of her unlife. Because everything up until this moment has been building, evolving, working on this empire and influence, and it just, as far as she's concerned, all of it's gone. So she just has to probably make her way out someplace somehow the following night. But she's, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, is feeling pretty sorry for herself.
I think Warren will go. I mean, signs were mentioned, and he's more likely to find them where signs can be found, not in a catacomb somewhere.
Very well. And Vescom?
Vescom will definitely, most certainly go up to the surface to see. Well, one, is his tavern on fire, and is it ash at this point or a blazing inferno? But he also wants to find his workers, his employees, his friends and family, in quotations.
His players.
Yeah, his players, because, I mean, he even has his ghoul, a big Belko, up there, hopefully, still. So he, before dawn, wants to figure out the current status. Under the cloak of obfuscate, of course.
Well, very good. I won't have you roll at this time, assuming you will stay down here long enough to get it right. And so the two of you emerge back into the side of the performance area in the Minstrel's Mug. It doesn't look much better than it did when you were last up here, truth be told. It's not on fire, so it does have that going for it. But there is something strange taking place. If the orgy was still taking place until recently, it's ended now. There are still some people around. Some of them are laying dead or otherwise injured or asleep. Others are sitting up, rubbing their heads as if confused. But you recognize Big Belko standing in the midst of all of them, looking around, snarling, "Ruined it. They've ruined it. They've destroyed it all. If they destroyed it..." And he turns. "Master, they've destroyed it all. Usurpers, those snakes." At which point, one of your very few intact tables starts levitating from the ground and flies across the interior of the minstrel's mug and shatters the skull of a poor fellow you actually recognize, one of the patrons of the minstrel's mug. It shatters his skull against the wall, and the table breaks down with it. Belko looks back at you again. "You never taught him this trick." "I see them. I can see their souls. I can see their lies. I can see their sins."
Vescom, in the form of his owner's form, wearing simple but well-worn clothes, the fake eye, he takes off his hat and rings it a little bit as he looks at the shattered table. "Well, you see, Big Belko, you see, a lot has happened this night. Much sin. Very true. Very true. However, it is enough for one night. I think it is time for bed. Time for rest. There's much we must do tomorrow.
He looks at you fiercely. You know, he would find it very difficult to disagree with you. He is, after all, your ghoul. Warren, you're witnessing this as well. You've certainly never seen someone hurl something telekinetically. You wouldn't even have the word for something like that. Layla would have, because Layla can do that, but Layla isn't up here. And I am still, nonetheless, going to ask you right now, Vescom, to make a manipulation and expression roll. I'll allow you to use empathy instead if you prefer. I think you're actually better at expressions. Go with manipulation and expression. The difficulty here is a surprisingly high 8.
Okay, I got 7 die.
Actually, it's not going to be 8. That was for the last guy. Layla, what's your willpower?
6.
The difficulty is 6.
I have 4 successes.
4 successes. In that case, Belko, his shoulders drop. His eyes, he drops for a moment, shakes his head. Master, there's something going on here. There's something that's affecting people. I think it's a plague of sin. I think the devil walks thorns tonight.
And I would quite agree. Big Belko. I think this is another quite large and fantastical story, one with much dread and sadness. Look at the bodies. Look at them.
I do not wish to look at them. I worry, sire, that I might have... And he can't finish the sentence, because while you have used Belko as your strong arm occasionally, certainly he isn't used as a hired killer. He is not a member of Jones' gang. He's not a cutthroat. He's a bouncer. And he's now looking at these ruined bodies around him and looking down at his hands and forearms that are covered in blood. Master, I think I need to get to church.
Church. Vescom nods and looks towards the ground, and he'll take a few steps towards Big Belko and slowly tap gently the shoulder. He has to reach up, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll nod again. Then, in the morning, first a nap. It's been a long night for everyone. But I do think, if you feel compelled, the church tomorrow in the day.
May I have one of your special medicines, Master? I feel I need one of your special medicines to sleep. He is, of course, referring to your blood, although he doesn't know it.
Right. It's usually a mixed drink that Vescom whips up at the bar. Of course. It has been a trying time for all of us. So, I will get one for you. Actually, I'll get you 2. How does that sound?
I think I need them, Master.
And another pat on the shoulder. And Vescom does feel, even though it's a ghoul and a master situation, a regnant, he feels closeness. That this might be the only one left of his crew up here, after all.
Well, most of your actors were outside indulging in a threesome.
Right.
Well, 3 of them were. There were 2 unaccounted for.
And there may not be enough before the dawn to really look for them. So he is going to get those drinks for Big Belko. But that may be all the time he has left. I think he will give a look towards Warren if he's still up here and hasn't moved out already. But he's not the captor or the sire of Warren, so he's not going to stop him from going anywhere.
Warren had instinctively kind of gone over to check on the guy that just had his skull bashed in against the table, presumably dead.
Very much so.
Yeah. But I think if you accept this, I think he does put his hand on the table, not fully understanding his powers of the blood. I think he would let loose Spirit's touch.
Okay, make a roll for it. Very good. And for the sake of viewers who don't understand what Spirit's Touch is because they've never played Vampire before, which I find very unlikely, why don't you tell us what Spirit's Touch is, Bob?
Okay, so effectively, items leave traces of important or intense emotion, like a fingerprint on things at periods of intense emotion. And so Spirit's Touch allows you to read that or interpret it.
Very good. I believe the difficulty is fixed for Spirit's Touch.
System, it is a difficulty of 9, so it's a tough one.
And the reason it was increased to 9 for V20 Dark Ages is because everyone uses Spirit's Touch to completely nix murder mysteries right at the start by saying, look, there's the weapon. Oh, here's the killer.
Okay, it is. It isn't fixed. It's on a scale of how recent and it is, so you can interpret as you will.
All right, what have you rolled?
Roll in right now. I just had to check my empathy because it's not one of my strong suits here. 5 days. 2 9s.
2 9s. Very good. In that case, you're able to sense more than one thing here. You're able to sense the origin of the flung table, but you're also able to sense what took place on this table before it was flung. This table has been the site of numerous sinful deeds tonight. At first, it was simply drinking. Then there was some fast and furious fucking. And then there was some violence. The fucking escalated, unfortunately, and knives and clubs were drawn. You can actually see the streak of blood up it, which implies someone came off in that fight badly. And you can sense, as I say, the spiritual origin of it being flung. Here's the strange thing, Warren. The bodies that you can sense, that you can feel, you can almost taste them, who were at first enjoying each other on the table and then trying to kill each other, to you, they both seem to be your sire. They both seem to be Griffith, and it's as if they had no personality beyond Griffith. Everything, up to the point one of them was stabbed, was Griffith. And then, when the table was flung, it wasn't flung by Big Belko here. You can see Layla standing in the center of the minstrel's mug, flinging the table with her mind.
I think he starts to ramble a bit, probably loud enough for Vescom to hear. He's like, Lady Shepherd, she cast this table. She cast it upon this man and struck him down. He looks up to Vescom. We're not safe here.
Certainly not. And Vescom takes a step forward, creeping down. But how so? How was this one who was not here?
She was here. And before her, Griffith.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. But I don't see the great violence. I guess there's only Big Belko here, and he's a nice lad when he's not throwing tables. So
he's pouring his second cup down his throat, basically switched off to your conversation. When he's not drinking, he's staring down at his hands.
What does this mean, Warren? What do your visions, what does it tell you? Is there a next step?
I don't know. Next step, we have to leave. And, like, that seems ridiculous because it's likely, really close to sunrise right now?
Oh, very much so. Yes. Sunrise is approaching. About the only people who are safe right now are Layla and Joan, because they are subterranean.
Leaving Warren would be a very short endeavor. Perhaps tomorrow, but for now we must rest and plan and hopefully figure out how Layla was here.
We're going to travel a little way into the past now for Vescom and Joan, both of you. Both of you have been K-Knights of Thorns for some time. Certainly longer than Layla has been a vampire. Definitely longer since Warren's embrace. And you were there that night when a witchfinder was declaring to all gathered in the small market square of Thorns, the two of you included, I tell all of you present that there is a witch in the Forest of Thorns, and that witch must be brought here to burn on this pyre and to show you this pyre burns with holiness, to show you that this pyre burns with God's will. I will demonstrate it. I will light it without flint and tinder. I will light it with God's power to show that this witch, the wild woman of the woods, should burn here. This is something that you two have witnessed before, Joan, during your time attached to the church, such as it was. Vescom, well, through your role as something of an entertainer. This is an old magic trick, a prestidigitation, as they say, a step away, hands up, look, I'm not lighting the spark that sets the pyre alight, when in actual fact, someone else has already lit a thin, dried out reed that is tunneled just under a thin layer of dirt, Middle Ages version of a fuse, basically, that would have been lit long before this speech started. And yet, the real trick that this witchfinder has is the timing. Much like any good magician, any good churchman, knowing when to finish his speech with an amen, at which point the pyre burst into flames, and you two, being Cainites, are obliged to step back. Then again, who wouldn't be? There's lots of oohs and ahs and burn the witches that emerge. Vescom, you look to Joan. Joan, you look to Vescom. This is before you knew Layla, and this is before her embrace. What did you say to each other then?
What
You
little
know,
bollocks.
Vescom bobs his shoulders side to side. I quite enjoyed the folks of the forest. It's quite a wily place, and they tamed it somewhat.
Tamed it how?
And now I've been watching. I may have taken a trip or two into the woods from time to time. Haven't gotten too close, but there's a little cottage, a little family, very tiny, but interesting. Poultices, tonics, salves. They live with the woods, much less against it, like maybe we do here in town. Haven't seen much of this witchery that I see that we're burning people for now, but hey, Vescom looks around. Well, what do you think, Joan? Do you have any experience with witchery? Is this proper?
I know as much as the next lady of the church and other dealings, shall I say. But what you say is puzzling, to say the least.
Well, Joan, you've certainly known that Vescom sometimes has an eye for someone, and when he has an eye for someone, he rarely lets up. It sounds like he has definitely developed one of his fixations on this family in the woods. From a moral perspective, Joe, no, moral's the wrong word. From a practical perspective, where do you stand on Vescom's obsessions, and indeed the call for a burning? Is this the kind of thing that endangers someone like you, or do you feel so self-confident that it would never even touch you, a fire like this?
Well, I think from this point in time, from her many years as mortal, this little criminal empire such that she's built, that she feels that she's on top of the world, how small her personal world is through Thorns, I think there might be some level of arrogance there, infused with the blood of the Sombra, that definitely does not do her any favours whatsoever. Regarding Vescom, she is interested to an extent to the things he goes on about, and they've dealt business from time to time, like exchange stories, and not stories as such, but things that they've heard, rumours of things that may interest the other. But whether Vescom would pick up this or not, I'll leave it down to him. But Joan always likes to words and present things in such a way that she doesn't want to come across as too interested, so she doesn't come across as too indebted to somebody.
So what of Vescom then? What are his feelings toward Joan and her seeming disinterest, maybe even a little bit of judgment?
I think Vescom would find that ever so more interesting. He thinks there's something hidden under that hardened exterior, and he probably, through the nights that they've known each other, has tried to pick away at it a little bit. It's probably far too strong for him to get anywhere realistically, but he tries anyway. So I think in this case he would nudge a little closer, still in his obfuscated form. He's not the monster as we stand in the crowd, perhaps, but still it's a bit unsettling as he nudges closer. They have talents, these woodsmen. Talents. I've heard. The Whisperers may have seen it a time or two, but helpful. Much more helpful than a priest's blessing from the church. Though I'm sure blessings do their good deeds here and there, but sometimes a nice tonic can help an illness. And Thorns does have its illnesses. The people are still people, and they get sick. I just think it's a shame to rid us of such a opportunity, such a resource, such a interesting story.
You and your stories. You hear Melina's voice. She is edged close to the two of you. You didn't see her at the fire lighting, but she has clearly emerged since then. Vescom, Lady Joan.
Good evening.
Good evening. What a fine night to be out by the fire.
Exquisite. She hisses through gritted teeth. Out of the 3 vampires here, she would be the least comfortable around fire and light.
Shall we take a walk somewhere a little more, well, comfortable for one of your blood?
She tries to not show her annoyance that this little bit of weakness has come through and nod as politely as she will allow.
Please take my arm, Lady Joan. Don't need to hobble, given your age.
Again, she won't say anything for now, but I think it's just more of like autopilot or whatever the Dark Ages equivalent that would be, of being a presentable lady. She would do that and walk along the town, as it were.
Follow along, Vescom.
Quick question. With the
Yes.
pyre lit, was there people actually on it currently, like going to burn
No.
up, or just okay?
No, this is just for show. This is
Just for show.
a dress rehearsal, you might say, or Vescom would almost definitely think of it that way.
Right, definitely. Yeah, it's all a performance in his mind. So he would skip along. He would not. In their past, Melina and Vescom probably aren't the closest. Toreador and Nosferatu aren't exactly aligned in their standards of being,
Yeah.
but he would still walk alongside.
Not a one of us, she says, as you edge away from the market square. Between these scant houses and in the direction of the Roman villa, not a one of us claims a title in this domain, and I appreciate it that way. I think it functions best. It is only a small domain, fit for only 3 of us. No need for any of us to lord over the other.
No, I agree.
But,
What a curious thing to bring up, though.
well, I am saying this because I would not deign to command, but I feel like we should come to consensus on that back there. She points at the fire.
Yes,
This
it should.
witch in the wood. We need to decide whether she is going to be dealt with. Is this going to fuel a fire that calls for more and more kindling? Or will it satisfy the mob and allow them to move on to better and brighter things?
Or whether it is a witch at all. It could just be an unkempt
Does it
woman
matter?
crossing. It would be certainly worth investigating, just so that we know how to act accordingly.
I'm
Not
not
let
suggesting we drag her to Thorns, Lady Joan. I'm suggesting that we point this hunter toward her if one of us knows where she is.
I may have an idea of where she is. However, I need it to be that we burn someone with a story so bright. I feel like I've found so many that are dull, and we could just slot them into that position, into that role. And if we have to burn people, I get that this man is very pious and he won't stop until he has a righteous burning, but we can. We can change the fate of a few.
Always with the stories, Vescom. There are members of my bloodline who would appreciate your advocacy for a stirring tale, but I feel that your obsession, sympathetic to it though I am, blinds you to the danger that a witch poses to our domain. But I take your point. You would rather throw someone else into the fire, and let them burn like a log so that your curiosity can be satisfied. What of you, Lady Jones? Tell me you are at least more pragmatic.
Personally, I think both of you have so much in common, letting your emotions run wild with you. I'm just suggesting that we take a bit of caution.
Now she looks offended, so you have at least turned about with fair play, as it were. And emotion getting the better of me?
Am I not mistaken? Yours of the rose.
Well, I do not consider it a weakness that I can remember what it was to be human. Were you ever that way, Lady Joan? I can only imagine you as cold and frigid.
Perhaps that we had a different upbringing, but there is very little in life that grants me such optimism.
Ah, well, I grew up in Aquitaine, where people have a more joy for life, shall we say. Not in this, well, I'm not even sure what to call it. Well, I am disappointed that the three of us cannot agree, but I will have this last word on the matter. If we suffer this witch to live, it will come back to haunt us, and it will be to you, too, to deal with her.
Quite confident in these words. Wow, premonition? Some kind of feeling deep inside?
She actively rolls her eyes at you and forces herself to exhale in utter resignation. You will be the end of me, Vescom. Your words, your facile attempts at poetry, they make me want to throw myself on that fire out there. But I think for tonight I would rather go back to my small keep. And she disappears off into the darkness, leaving the two of you, knowing that even though, yes, this is a domain where the three of you are on equal footing, she is in some way connected by blood to Melusine d'Anjou, the Baron of Winchester, and therefore the Baron of this domain as well. It does give her something of a status advantage over you. But not so much of one that you can't piss her off and get away with it. And of course, as time would tell, you would come to know this witch, and you would permit her survival. And maybe you would throw a few innocent logs on the fire, Vescom, to save this curiosity's life. But it wasn't that long after that she found the embrace. And then she had much worse things to worry about. Now, we return to present, and we return to the underground, where Layla, you were casting your ward, and Joan, you've been thinking of this witch staring out from just under your eyelids at Layla. You know who she is. You've always known. Before her embrace, after her embrace, you know this is the one. Now, you don't know if she's to blame for anything. You haven't been upstairs. You've not heard Warren's ramblings. But now here she is, casting a spell. The kind of thing that when you were in the church would have got you crucified, burned, stoned, or crushed to death. How did your roll go, Ree?
That is going to be 4 successes.
Oh, very impressive. Very nice. The both of you, even you, Joan, can see that there is a almost halo effect around this rag that only amplifies the holiness, if it is holiness, that this bloodied cloth bears. Of course, you know, Layla, that this is a ward. It will prevent anyone from handling this item. It might as well be a shield, but for the time being, it is a golden light circling in orbit around the rag.
Well, with this, at least we can contain it for now. God knows what other harm could come from it.
Why contain it rather than destroy it? Why infuse it with more witchcraft?
You are a lady of the church indeed, aren't you? Destroy it. Sure. We could try. I don't know if it'd work, or if we do, we can't assume that won't have its own consequences. You're dealing with something this powerful.
I'm just surprised that wasn't your first thought. It's almost like you have something planned for it, or the one that you were so eager to protect and defend for.
I'm here with my assignment. I don't choose them. I just follow the orders that I'm given as much as I am able, until I can complete them and then be free to do as I will, as I much prefer. But an item like this, something infused with this kind of power, do you not think it's a shame simply to destroy it without learning what properties it may contain, without understanding it?
I think at that point, Joan steps out of her little corner of darkness, rather than just poking her head through, perhaps recoiling when the thing lights up initially. The ward, I mean. Well, what I've seen with it tonight is death and destruction, and the spreading of bodily fluids.
Yes, but how? Does that not pique your curiosity to know how or why?
Layla, lose a blood point.
Does that have any visible effect, or is that all internal?
Yeah, do I feel that?
Yes, you shudder. It feels strangely good. You suddenly feel warm and almost refreshed. You feel hungry, no mistake about it. But you also somehow simultaneously feel...
That was strange. Did you feel that, or was that just me?
Feel what?
Well, that answers my question.
Helpful. I'd much rather see the end of all of this, not that it would bring back my home, but I wouldn't suppose that you would care much for material possessions now, would you?
I understand the importance of a home. Having lost mine long ago, had to rebuild it many a time.
Tell me, Layla, when you were mortal, your duty was primarily the care of your aged mother. What became of your mother? Was she dragged off to Thorns and thrown on a pyre as a witch while you were being embraced, or did she have more solemn endings of dying of her age?
Quite the contrary. I accepted the embrace so that I could stay on this earth longer to ensure that she was cared for in her final days. I was, in fact, caught by the mob. My sire found me there, offered me an alternative to the pyre. My mother remained hidden in the woods, where I helped to conceal her, as she had taught me many, many moons ago. But she was ill, and with no one to care for her, she would scarcely last very long out there. Of course, my sire knew my weakness, so I followed the rules, as long as I was allowed to care for her. And then, as all mortals do, she passed. I'm still here.
So it's true, you do know the value of a home. You know the value of family. It may not be possessions, just as Jones said, trinkets and jewelry and things like that, but somewhere to call your own. May not have been a place for you, but it was with a person. She's no longer in your life. So yeah, you can relate to Joan and her loss, even if you're not feeling it in the same way. Joan, you can see that unless you're trying to conceal it, Layla, I would suggest that you can see the effect that this conversation has had on Layla as she is remembering her mother.
Joan will just sigh and just pace out of the darkness, just uneasy, at conflict with oneself. How the debating that they've gotten greedy, that they perhaps blame themselves for some of what has happened tonight, that they did not endure, they did not take to heart. The warnings of yesteryear, none of this would have happened. But she couldn't have predicted this. Perhaps for the first time in a very long time, she's actually debating, is this the work of God? Many different complicated feelings that an old lady should never be having to think about in her latter years of life.
There may be one way of finding out if this is the work of God. Blood of one of his saints is laying right there on a shredded bolt of cloth.
That is true. And she doesn't think that it's worth keeping in a jar in a magical ward. But she also doesn't know what will happen to her if she attempts to go and grab it either from Layla directly or the ward itself.
Well, before dawn arrives, and it's been a long time coming, but it's nearly here, Warren, you have, of course, been in a state of distress since witnessing all that you've just witnessed. You've explained to Vescom what you saw. Vescom doesn't seem to understand. He just doesn't seem to get it in the way you'd. You are bombarded, Warren. All of a sudden, the scant candles that remain in this tavern flicker wildly. The mutterings of Big Belko, he's pleading, he's reciting biblical verses. You can see from the way some of the wood has cracked from the table that it forms a symbol of a crucifix on the floor. Right now you are whirling from one to the other to the other. It's as if there are signs all around you, as if everything is pointing toward damnation or salvation. It is very difficult to tell which, but both are haunting, both are terrifying when you don't know which way the staircase goes, up or down. You just have to blindly feel your way. It's a scary proposition.
I think he starts to hold his head a bit, and he's like, "We have Vescom, this." He points to like the probably what isn't apparent to anyone else, which is like the symbol of the cross. He quickly shifts to the next sign, and then he looks to Vescom, and he actually walks up to Vescom and he grabs Vescom by the collar or close by. This isn't safe. We have to go.
Vescom is taken aback for a second. Warren hasn't really ever been violent, but this is a very violent time. He holds his hands kind of up. Well, we have to go? Where to? If not here, and if not down below to rest for the day.
This isn't safe. It isn't safe with Lady Shepherd or whatever devil exists inside of it.
The sky starts glowing to the east. Maybe there is another place you can get to in Thorns. Maybe there is another building that you can ferret yourself into. Maybe, Warren, you may have lived here before. You may have passed through before, but this is not your domain. You don't know all of its hidey holes. You know there are tunnels beneath the surface. Are they any safer than right here? I'm going to need some decisions right now for the two of you. Starting with you, Warren. Do you think you're going to listen to Vescom? Or do you think you're going to bolt? You tell me, Bob.
That's a tough one. Yeah. Bob knows that the stupidest thing he could do is bolt. I think realizing that the sun is here and that instinct, perhaps of the beast, kind of takes over and down back into danger he goes. I think that's the decision. He wants to flee, but the beast insists otherwise.
And I don't know, maybe this is the first time you felt that clutch inside you, some kind of instinct that's just throttling you just about here, between the heart and the throat, and dragging you somewhere that you'd rather not go, and yet you have to concede control. Vescom, you've seen that expression before on a K-Knight's face. It's the roach Shrek. It is not the frenzy, but it's pretty damn close.
I think Vescom, seeing this and being on the older side of Neonate, he has been a K-Knight for a while, and recognizing that fearful look of what seems to be quite the fledgling, he will offer a hand and a gesture towards the stairs that go down and say, "Let us give it one more night. Tomorrow, we decide."
I think he'll say nothing to Vescom but nod, descend with him.
Ko looks to you, Vescom, and says, I'll make sure nobody disturbs you during the day. I'll sleep right outside, Master, if that suits you.
It does, and I thank you, Big Belko. After this, after tomorrow, you're getting a few days off.
Cool, love it, that. What an honor. I think I will benefit from that. I think I will spend all my time at prayer, Master. You get downstairs. I know how you don't agree with the bright light.
Yes, bad for the complexion, I think. We'll be down here. Good night, Big Belko.
Good day.
Morning.
Yes, he He cuts off the conversation, sliding the cabinet back in place. And given that you have given him the task and the dosed drinks of basically sleeping, you can't necessarily be assured that the minstrel's mug is going to be cleaned up by the following evening. This is going to be the day following the night before when you wake up, in the sense that when you throw a party, someone's got to clean the shit up. And yeah, that may be K-Nights in a montage tomorrow night. But for the time being, the two of you descend, and even though sleep is fast approaching, the day sleep is draining you of your energy. Warren, as your feet hit solid ground, and you're no longer on the hewn staircase, and you see Layla there looking in a state of some distress, it must be said, given that she's been caught in the memories of her mother and her mother's passing. You nevertheless can't help but remember, I mean, it was only a minute or two ago. She was up there. She crushed that man's skull with a table.
I think Warren looks at her like she is a monster or a beast. And I think he moves at a great distance from her, kind of stepping over some of Vescom's hoard of things to clear additional distance and to create a bit of a wall for wherever he is going to find the sleep.
That sounds fairly obvious, right? Like, that's not subtle.
Wait, it's not subtle at all. Yeah.
I think she'd look up, kind of confused, look towards him to Vescom. Did I miss something?
Vescom, who's now his horrible monster form again. Yes, you did. Quick question before we go to bed. Can you throw tables with your mind?
I've never tried a table. I have exercised the powers of motion, but I'm still a rather beginner at it. I never...
So that's a yes. So another person has passed, and Warren believes it may have a connection to you somehow. But it is a conversation for, I think, tomorrow night. For now, we need to find a nice little spots. If you found a comfortable spot, there's plenty here.
Trips over something as he's rummaging through the pile to clear just a little bit more distance from Lady Shepherd.
What is... someone upstairs? What does that have to do with me? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
As you are struggling to get the words out, Layla, should anyone wish to continue this conversation, you can by all means make willpower rolls to stay awake. Otherwise, the dawn, the sun, is well and truly rising over the horizon, and while it cannot touch you with its rays, its presence there is going to cut short the conversation. Does anyone want to try forcing through it out of a sense of distress or confusion or just wanting answers, or do you succumb to the day's sleep?
Joan's out of it like she's just asleep on the floor, back in the darkness, back to old habits as a petty young thief with no bed to claim as her own.
Yeah, it's almost a reassuring way of saying good night to, well, good morning to the night that just went before, sinking back into your past, a past where everything was far simpler, before all talk of God's intervention started touching your life. So yeah, Joan is out. Anyone else?
I think just considering she was just given this news, I do think I
Go for it.
Gonna doze off that quickly.
You can spend a willpower to stay awake if you prefer.
What's the... No, I'll roll.
Difficulty 6.
4.
I think Warren, seeing that Lady Shepherd remains up, will try to stay up to match her so that she's not awake after.
Yeah. All right, so yes, you either roll or spend, Bob. And what about Vescom?
I think Vescom is a very deep sleeper, so his sleep hits him hard. He is going to scuttle into a very comfortable spot, squishy spot somewhere, and using his mastery of obfuscate, drift out of consciousness and sight to protect him while he sleeps. But he is off to bed.
I think Layla then kind of just throws her hands up because she was like asking him mid-question and then he just disappears and falls asleep.
There is Warren. There is Warren.
Yeah, no. So she's going to turn back to Warren, who's the only person still awake, despite the fact that he looks like he's trying to build a brick wall to keep himself away from her. What is going on? I don't understand.
You're a threat.
I mean, all of us are Canaanites, so I suppose we all are threats, but you are... Why are you so terrified? You weren't terrified just moments ago.
Became like him.
What?
You became like him. In his head, it was much more clear what he was just articulating.
Yeah.
That's all he manages, though.
And then he's out as well. And Layla, you are left alone. The only vampire awake past dawn, wondering what on earth Warren could be referring to, what Vescom could have been talking about. And your eyes are drawn back to that bloody cloth. Now the rest of them are asleep. You could pick it up again. You could shatter your own ward. You could hold it close to you. You could even do what Griffith de Percy did and put the end of it in your mouth.
I
It
think
might provide some comfort. It seemed to for him.
she kind of stops herself and shakes her head. I think there's a growing discomfort with the fact that that was even a thought that crossed her mind, because it's so unlike anything she'd ever think to do normally. And I think she's going to situate herself as far away from the rag as she can get as possible and try to now let sleep take her.
Very well. It takes longer than you'd be comfortable with, but I'm going to deduct a willpower point from your temporary pool, almost because you're trying to force yourself to sleep now.
Yep.
While you, on some level, your beast maybe wants to stay alert, but you overpower it. And with it comes the day's sleep. And with that comes the conclusion of our second session, as our Crown of Thorns is swiftly turning inward. And this coterie is breaking down before it's even properly formed. Will trust be reforged? Or is it all destined to disintegrate like Griffith de Percy? Are Inquisitors truly on their way to Thorns? What will they do when they get here? It's unlikely they will do anything terribly good. Will any of our Canaanites survive their second night? We will find out next time. I want to say thank you very much to my players, to Ree, to Bob, to Zack, and to Jack, otherwise known as Law by Night. And I will say an even bigger thank you to the viewers who have stuck with us for almost 3 hours. I mean, it may well be after the edit, who knows? But almost 3 hours for this session. And I want to say a big, big, big thank you if you watched the first session and now you've watched the second one as well. The number of views on that was incredible. And I know all of us really appreciate that you actually, so many of you watched it through to the end. So I really hope you've watched this one as well. Obviously, we won't know. But if you've listened to me say this, comment about it below. Anything from any of the players before we sign off?
Thank you again to our wonderful storyteller for completely fucking with our emotions, and for Bob for having us all on here to be gaslit, manipulated, and tortured.
Just as it should be. It's World of Darkness.
Yeah, exactly. Also known as playing World of Darkness.
Yeah.
Just a shout out, if you like Crown of Thorns and where it's going and you want to see more like that, please do let us know in the comments. If you want us to bring the Gentleman Gamer back and have us all together again, please do let us know.
Don't tell him that you want to send me away. I've been in exile for a long time.
That's my air horn. Okay. Holy smokes. Thank you again, everyone. And as always, we hope that you live your best selves in your mortal roles. We will see you next time. Ciao. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wow, you guys. Wow.
Oh my god.